Here in part 5, I'd like to explore the concept of convergent evolution. This is a topic that was raised in the earlier lectures in this class when we talked about evolution. Convergent evolution is the notion that in similar climates, natural selection will favor similar plant communities, we call those biomes, and often the appearance of similar morphological structures and features. So let's explore a few examples to illustrate this point of convergent evolution. And this is evolution in which you have taxa that are distantly related, sometimes very distantly related, but through natural selection, we see the evolution and selection for similarities in functioning and in morphology. Let's first look at the Mediterranean climates. The Mediterranean climates are named for the climatic conditions that we find here in the Mediterranean region. This is a warm region in the winter, so we have precipitation in the winter, but not in the summer. So Mediterranean climate is wet and warm in the winter, and hot and dry in the summer. This characterizes the vegetation in the area around the Mediterranean Sea. It characterizes the vegetation in California from San Francisco down through San Diego. It also characterizes the vegetation near Santiago, here in South Africa, near Cape Town, here near Perth in Australia. This is an error in this graphic here. So wherever we have on the west side of a continent, in a latitude of about 30 degrees, north or south, we will find Mediterranean climate vegetation. So if we go to the Mediterranean climate, what you find is that the appearance, or the gestalt, or the gut impression you get looking at the vegetation, is that it looks the same here as it does here. One of these is Southern California, and the other is Mount Olympus in Greece. When we go to these regions, what we'll find in a Mediterranean climate is vegetation that looks virtually identical. These are unrelated taxa. In California, we'll find quercus or oaks. If we go to Chile, we'll find quiaja, similar appearance, but unrelated to each other. If we begin to look at the stature of these, quercus here in California and quiaja in Chile, they look the same. We have the man in the picture here to give you some idea of scale. Quiaja is in the Fabales, and the quercus is in the Fagales, very distantly related taxa. But under the pressure of, under similar climatic conditions, we see the evolution of and natural selection favoring similarities in both function and in appearance. We can find other examples, and here's an example looking at Airlands. Let's look at a plant from the desert of California or from the desert in southern Africa. Here we have Focarea in the southwestern part of the United States, and Alawadia in parts of Africa and in Madagascar. They look the same. Multiple stems arising from the base, no branching other than from the base. If we look more closely at these leaves, we find that Focarea splendens has sharp spines with deciduous leaves coming out, and we find the same thing when we look at Alawadia. It turns out that both Alawadia and Focarea are very sensitive to water stress, and so they will develop and drop leaves in response to changes in water stress. That's another example of convergent evolution. In a third example, let's go to the high elevations in the equatorial regions, go to the high elevations of Venezuela, or the high elevations of Kenya, and what we'll find is an arborescent form, often 3 to 4 meters tall, of plants that have dead leaves on their side and thick rosette structures here at about 3 to 4 meters height. This is Senecio, found at 5,000 meters in Kenya. This is Espalicia, found at the same elevation, only now in Ecuador. They look the same. Here's a person for scale and an exceptionally tall Senecio, but you see a similarity with a rosette at the top and dead leaves on the side. These are long-lived, slow-growing perennials. So I've tried to give you a very brief introduction to this notion of similar climates favor similarities in biomes, and we see this convergence also in the kinds and shapes of species that are present in these similar climates. Here's a study guide for you to follow, and just remember, if you want to do well on the quizzes, answer these questions and you'll be well prepared for the biweekly quiz.